Marcus, it is the end of the year, my friend. We've been doing this for many years now.
Already the end of 2016.
No, it's 2021.
Close enough.
It is time for us to do our best list. I think we're going to have to do our worst list separately. But
I might not do a worst
come
list
on,
this year.
why? What are you trying to make a stand?
No, because there's like 4 movies that I didn't like because I did a great job of avoiding crap I didn't want to see. Yeah. I did miss some. There's some key movies that I have not seen yet that bums me. I haven't seen Boy Erased yet. I haven't seen Vice. This is my top 10 of the year, though, and I'm looking at the list, and like you love to do every year. You love throwing 30 honorable mentions at us right off the bat, which, look, you do what you want with your list. I'm kind of the same way this year because there's a lot of movies that I liked.
So many good ones,
Not a lot of movies that I loved, and it's weird to say that this is going to be the first time ever that a Star Wars movie was released that it's not in my top 10.
It's not even in my honorable mentions.
I mean, I'm going to say it in my honorable mentions.
It's not in my honorable mentions. But it's our top 10. So the way we've done it, if you're fans of the show, you know, what we will do is I'll start off first with my honorable mentions, and I'll launch into my 10 through 6.
10 through 6, I'll do honorable mentions 10 through 6. You do 5 through 2. Don't give away your number 1.
Right.
I'll do 5 through 2. And then we'll both say our number 1s. We'll say each other's number 1 at the same time.
All right. Sounds
Chemistry,
good.
guys.
Well, we know already.
This takes years of practice.
All right, I'm going to hit you up with my honorable mentions here.
Okay.
Let's start with my honorable mentions, and shoot.
Oh,
it's
boy.
gotta be edited.
Oh, boy. The guy fixed a washer and a dryer this morning, so give him a break.
All right, honorable mentions. Here we go. Creed 2 is an honorable mention for me.
I'm leaving.
It's in your top 10.
I'm done.
It's in my honorable mentions. That's why I was looking at this list, man. There's so many movies this year. I liked way more. I didn't love as much, but I liked way more than I disliked this year.
I'm proud of you and all you've achieved.
Creed 2 I liked a lot. It's just not my top 10. Tully was one that hits my honorable mentions. Black Panther hits my honorable mentions. First Man, which nobody else has on any list.
There's some good movies you're throwing.
I know. Searching. Did you get a chance to see The Searching?
I did not see The Searching.
Searching. Searching was really good. Mid-90s was one that almost made my list.
Mid-90s was really good,
And Beautiful Boy, which I recently watched. And those were my honorable mentions.
Did you cry?
No, but I thought Timothée Chalamet's performance was fantastic.
And Mark Riley is his dad.
Okay. It's true. It's great hair. Number 10. This might shock you. Number 10. My number 10 is Overlord.
I am so... not shocked. I am proud of you.
Yeah, I love it.
I would question the placement of this and maybe Creed 2. But
you know why?
Overlord, it was just such a refreshing theater experience.
It kicked my ass because I was expecting it to be atrocious. I liked the tone that it took, and I liked when it got crazy, it set you up.
Yeah.
It really played well, and knowing that guy's going to be directing Flash Gordon made me even more excited.
Honey, we've been through this.
It's possible.
Okay.
But it was the way that it was set up. It was that it really treated itself like a World War II movie until it wasn't.
Yeah, and Julius Avery really he's got an interesting eye. He's got a fun storytelling vibe about him. Great horror elements in there. So if he was to do a Flash Gordon movie, I would at least show up to the theater and drop you off.
So that's why I have that. Now, number 9 is Vox Lux. Vox Lux is the Natalie Portman movie, and this is another one that's so strange to me because I thought I hated this movie when I was watching it, and I couldn't. It was, and I've been singing the song inside of my head for so long. Until recently, and it is a movie that is the opening scene is one of the most disturbing things you'll see. It is a very disturbing scene, and not everybody's gonna be able to take it. And as I watched it and understood it more and realized the end of it really kind of ends as a concert film, but you understand why because they dictate it throughout the whole thing. Great performances by Natalie Portman, the young actress who plays Natalie Portman when she's like
in
13
high school,
or no, in like 8th grade or whatever. And Willem Dafoe is in it, Jude Law. It's not for everybody, but it was for me because I thought it was a movie that just stuck with me for a long time.
It was for you after you saw it.
No, but stuck with me though.
Yeah.
It made me think from the moment I was watching it, and I even though there's some things I had with accents and stuff, I got over it because it's a powerful movie.
Yeah, and there's a lot in it. It's like what I like to do to myself. Sometimes as film goes, we just kind of like to torture our emotions a little bit. Like Blue Valentine is one of those movies where I know it's a hard movie to watch, but I put it on and I'm like, I want to feel this. Kenny Lonergan's movie, like Margaret or like Manchester by the Sea. See, you're getting choked up just thinking about it.
That's true. Number 8 is another one really based on performance, but the one that I thought about after I saw it, I said, well, that was very impactful, and that's Vice. Christian Bale as Dick.
I gotta see it.
You got to see it. Christian Bale as Dick Cheney is getting recognition as he should because it's a scary movie, but you learn a lot about him. Adam McKay and Drew McWeeny is who I'm going to quote here, calls Adam McKay the funny Oliver Stone, and I could agree with it because there's things about this movie that really worked. There's something that he does about 45 minutes into it that had me rolling because I just knew I just thought it was very clever, and he does that to tell this haunting story of this man who essentially was the president. He really was, and the most powerful vice president of all time. And you learn a lot, you get scared a lot, and it makes you question a lot. And I thought they did a good job. Adam McKay, I thought it did a great job. And Amy Adams, Steve Carell once again as Rumsfeld.
Sam Rockwell is Bush.
Yeah, and he's getting. I don't understand the nomination for him because he's good in the movie. Just it's not as impactful.
Better than The Big Short. On a par with
Different.
Okay. I got to see it. Sorry,
you got to see it. So that to me that was my number 8. Number 7 is a movie that we talked about recently, Bumblebee. I'm putting Bumblebee up pretty high. I'm putting Bumblebee up high because
that new movie Sheen.
Yeah, because I want to watch it again. I want to watch it.
There's certain scenes
I want to see it again. I want to watch the beginning of the movie. I want to see it again. It was the Transformers movie. I wish that would have been the only Transformers movie. I wish that was the first time I was ever seeing Transformers.
Can you imagine? Because we talked about this in the Bumblebee review. Can you imagine if it's you and me and all the other comics, Ari, whoever else? Because it was a row of like 10 of us.
Yeah, that was
Transformers, Cinerama Dome, ArcLight, 2007 to go see that movie.
Yeah.
And
if that was the first time, I know.
If that was the first scene in Transformers,
I know. Trust me, that's why I love the movie, and I want to see it again. Woo. And I've been waiting for a Transformers movie like that, and I got it. And there's some humor that's atrocious in the movie, but I got over it because of the overall story. And Haley Steinfeld is fantastic.
Okay, so that's your number 7.
I'm going 7.
Before
6,
you do it, because you do this every year.
Yeah.
I want you to take a look at 6 through 1. Are you sure that you're in the right order?
I do. I like this list.
Okay, good.
I like this list.
Just to make it sure.
That was number 7 was Bumblebee. Number 6, Love, Simon.
Good.
Love, Simon to me was a movie I caught later than everybody else did. I saw it on Blu-ray, but man, did that movie do everything that it intended to do. And Greg Berlanti, who directed the movie, is about this kid who is a coming-of-age story, but he's also realizes that he's gay, and he's got to figure out should he tell his family, should he tell his friends. I thought Josh Duhamel as the father was really good.
Yeah, him and Garner played it very real, and there's syrupy moments in it, but it all feels like an authentic suburban coming of age experience. It
was, and it just had this. The humor was there, the heart was there, the relationship was there, and I think that it's a movie that is important. But I think that it was something. It was just something about the film that it just made me realize that we're living in a different time, and I liked the time that we were in while I was watching it. I thought it was just a really good, feel-good movie, and it didn't try to beat you over the head with political stuff. It just was about this kid going through life, and I loved it.
Yeah,
that's 10 through 6. It's a good list.
It's a really, you're off to a hot start. You're off to a surprising start.
Thank you.
Because I think in years past I would have seen the movies like that were in your honorable mention. Even maybe a Solo creeps up there, but definitely a Creed 2 or something like that. But it's like, I think Bumblebee really filled that nostalgia hole for you.
It did.
And to hear you see something like Overlord, it speaks to the point that you always come back at me when I say you're just a fraidy cat and don't like horror or horror-themed movies. It's like, well, no, if you make a good story or something competent, and it helps that it was World War II, you're a big World War II buff, you like action. It's got all that stuff. We're killing Nazis.
It's a cool movie.
It's zombie Nazis.
It's just a cool movie.
Yeah.
And it's like it gets a little B-movie-ish sometimes, but I dug it because it just knew what it wanted to be.
I hate when people use the term B-movie or cheesy because it's like you like what you like and you love what you love. It's an A movie for me. It's also one of my honorable mentions.
But you got to understand the definition of what the B-movie was.
I know how it is.
All right.
I know how it is.
I don't want to do this forever. What do you have for honorable mentions?
Overlord. Is an honorable mention. Sure. It almost creeped up there. I don't like to give all my honorable mentions because I like to build some suspense. Yeah. Crazy Rich Asians was an honorable mention for me, as was A Simple Favor, one that I really wanted to get on there.
That's one also that I would definitely put on my list.
Surprising,
yes.
Assassination Nation is one that with the 10 I have, I'm pretty confident in. Assassination Nation, it's a great statement movie. It devolves or evolves into like The Purge, and I really appreciate everything it had. It's a scary harbinger of the near future, but I just couldn't quite get in the top 10, but keep your eye on that filmmaker. Let's see. Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, was in my Johnny English Reborn. It's hysterical.
Get out of here.
It is Rowan Atkinson is a
really?
effing. The movie's already done over $100 million in England. It's funny. He's the last bastion of good spoofery. Okay, so let's get into my top 10. Okay. My top 10 is going to surprise a lot of people, including myself. Number 10, I always like to do something that I think was surprising to me, one that necessarily wasn't on my radar. So the contenders for this were going to be, I love comedies, and I really wanted to get Game Night in there because Game Night was such a surprise. Game Night's an honorable mention.
Yeah. Blockers, I probably would have put him on.
Blockers was another contender. And I'll say solo for honorable mention. It's the answer.
So you have Game Night at number 10?
No. Game Night's honorable mention.
Okay.
It was between Game Night and a very different kind of movie.
Which is?
Steven Soderbergh's Unsane.
You know what? That was another one that I was kind of messing around with, but I could see it. It was very different movie. It's all shot on an iPhone.
All shot on an iPhone, which it's a cool. I don't want to say gimmick, but it's neat to know that. It's inspiring for young filmmakers out there. I don't care. You could have shot this thing with IMAX cameras, and the creepy feel that he achieves throughout, and the tension of, am I crazy? Is Claire Foy crazy? Right. What's going on here? He just got so many great performances in what amounts to a movie that leaves the viewer thinking, wait, am I crazy? Who am I believing here? So as the characters in the movie start to doubt themselves, I'm feeling the same thing. And I love when movies do that. It's part mystery, it's just a horrific thing that could happen to anybody, and you're always on your tiptoes walking on eggshells. Masterful job by everyone.
I like that.
So I give it to Unsane. At number 9 is If Beale Street Could Talk.
I hear so many great things about this movie. I mean, this is for what Vice was for you
because you haven't seen it. Yeah. It's just an amazing, and look, Regina should get all the award consideration in the world. And she's getting some of it. I think she got snubbed from SAG, but it's not just her show. There's so many great performances in this movie, and it does what Moonlight did, but I see Moonlight more as like a cinematic experience, and this is more like, feels like a play where you're watching action on stage, but it's because Barry Jenkins gets even more intimate, if that's possible. I didn't like this movie as much as I liked Moonlight, or maybe I didn't respond to it as much, but the performances of Stephen James, Kiki Lane, anchor what is really going on with the entire family structure. And there's a scene where if you're watching the movie and you're still feeling it out a little bit, there's a scene about 15 minutes in that is like, okay, tough. I am locked in, and I'm not leaving this movie. And I think I've seen it 2 times since then, just because it's like...
So you've seen the movie 3 times?
Yeah, because I like movies that do that. Like, especially if I'm on a plane or on the road. Yeah. I just want to get out of my own head, and I don't necessarily want to watch a comedy like Game Night. I want to watch something that just totally gets me out of everything else going on in my life. If Beale Street Could Talk, could do that.
It's on a lot of lists. I like the choice.
Yeah, so at number 8 is First Man.
Okay.
Number 8 is First Man. Yeah. I don't understand most of the disdain for this movie for whatever reason. I think
people found it dull. I didn't, but people found it dull.
I found this thing enthralling start to finish. Yeah. I thought that Gosling and Foy were great leads. I thought everybody else did a great supporting job. You know, Jason Clarke, Corey Stoll, and Damien Chazelle, what he's able to do. I mean, look, regardless of what you think of the first parts of this movie, the end is just it's a theater experience of the year, perhaps, watching this thing, watching us go to the moon. And, you know, I think the controversy kind of swallowed up a little bit. But look, I don't care if other people respond to it. I really do. Unlike Twitter, I have enough confidence in my own opinion to be like, this is a movie that I really liked and really responded to. It does. I can't wait to go home and talk to my mom about this because my mom did not like it at all. And it's this movie. When I was sitting there,
boring.
Yeah.
Was she expecting more about the moon? That's what a lot of people do. It's called First Man.
I'm going to get a glass of wine and Lynn Ellis and talk to her about this because I'm watching. I'm thinking my dad would love this movie. Loved Apollo 13. I really want to talk to my mom about it, but that's why we do these lists. At number 7 is... Where are you, number 7? Paging number 7.
Paging number 7. What's that?
Paging number 7 is, at the top of my list, Black Panther. Black Panther is perhaps not my favorite comic book movie of the year, but... I mean, this movie was such a great way to tell a story in a new, inventive direction that it definitely felt like part of the MCU, but it also felt like something new entirely. And that's an achievement when a filmmaker like a Ryan Coogler can make a movie that blends so seamlessly into what the huge picture is, but also tell this individualistic standalone story that felt culturally relevant, that felt important, that also was a great story, that had a great villain. It's got everything that you want in a comic book movie, and I was glad to see the impact it made on the world, but I also just really enjoyed the adventure of the whole thing. Great leads, great villains, great side characters. It's got everything you want.
All right, so that's number 7.
Number 6 is A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place.
Number 6 is A Quiet Place.
It's so funny because you mentioned up top how many movies could have been on honorable mention.
Yeah.
again, Quiet Place for me was up there. You know, Blind Spotting. Blind Spotting almost made it in for me, but you didn't get a chance to watch that one yet, did you?
I did not. No.
Blind Spotting to me was at my number 10, and it just got shifted around. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming about that because people loved it, and I get it. It's a really good movie, but it just didn't hit it. So there's so many good movies this year.
Yeah, I mean, A Quiet Place. It was kind of like Unsane, where it's like, look, if you strip certain things, it's like, can Steven Soderbergh really not afford anything better than an iPhone? And same thing with A Quiet Place, but it's like the story you're telling, you are stripping away some of the audience's sensibilities. Now, that can either be conceived as a gimmick, or that can actually be something that is used to tell a very powerful story in a new way. And A Quiet Place, flawless execution. The performances are mind-boggling, not just from Krasinski and Emily Blunt, but the kids in there too. You know, I feel about children. And seeing this new threat to Earth, I love the tension. There's some scenes in this where your body is so tight watching it. Right. It's incredible filmmaking. It's a great horror movie experience in a year that had some nice horror to it, like Halloween. That's a great honorable mention for me. But it's A Quiet Place, I believe, is the highest horror movie on my list.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the standard as I'm making this list is what the rewatchability, which ones really hit to me, it comes into it's top 10 best, but it's really top 10 favorite for you for the year. And
I don't make any bones about that. No, where it's like, no, these are what everybody should. These are my 10 favorite movies of the year.
Now, number 5, this will probably be the most controversial on my list for sure, because a lot of people didn't love it as much as I did. Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2. At some point in the year, it was my number 1.
Number 5. Okay.
It was number 1 for a while too. I know I'm in the minority. I actually enjoyed it more than the first one.
I've heard people say that.
I thought the family dynamic inside of this really hit. I love the fact that Elastigirl was front and center on this one and how she did it following her venture. Holly Hunter, once again, just nails the role. Craig T. Nelson, everybody.
Jack, like a great side.
It's a great family movie. It had a lot of humor. It delivered. Like I said, for me, the Pixar movies, the Toy Story movies, Finding Nemo, Inside Out, those all I responded to more so than Incredibles, but this one just shot the Incredibles, the whole franchise, into my favorites because I loved it. I just really enjoyed it. Saw it with my daughter as well, and she liked it. So that's why Incredibles hits number 5 for me. I can't wait to watch it again, to be honest with you. All right, so number 4 on my list, Green Book.
Yeah, okay.
Green Book was a movie that I have just heard a lot about, and I'm always skeptical with New York accents. I don't know how that's going to, especially when you have Viggo Mortensen. I'm like, I don't know. And man, did he hit it. And he hit it well as Tony Lip. And Tony Lip's working at the Copacabana. Something happens. He loses his gig. And now he's got to be a driver for this doctor of music. Doctor of music happens
and psychiatry. One of those,
and we're talking about in the 60s. Right? The doctor happens to be a black man.
Yeah.
And you've got to
going to the South.
Starting off in Queens or in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. But moving through and then going through the Deep South at that time, not the easiest thing. So it reminded me a lot of Driving Miss Daisy. It was the relationship between Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen is a must watch and I can't miss because the dynamic between both those guys, phenomenal actors, 2 of the best working today. I know Viggo Mortensen's getting a lot of the praise on his performance, which he should, but Mahershala Ali I think is getting a little underlooked for how brilliant, masterful he was in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. One thing that's bothering me, maybe the most about the awards on the male side of the ledger is that it's like Sam Elliott's great in A Star Is Born, but why is he getting more recognition than Mahershala Ali, who I think had a much tougher role and who was great in the role? And Sam Elliott, he's great standing on the side of the stage. He's Sam Elliott.
He's being Sam Elliott. Mahershala Ali did a lot more than Sam Elliott.
It's mind-boggling.
He really did.
Happy to see Green Book there.
And that to me is my number 3. Or excuse me, my number 4. Number 3 is probably my favorite MCU movie, and that's Avengers: Infinity War.
Okay.
Avengers: Infinity War.
Wait, favorite of all time?
Yeah.
Favorite MCU
movie? It finally dethroned.
What was it? Iron Man?
Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Winter Soldier
okay.
for a long time. It dethroned it for me after watching it a couple times. Same thing, because I'm so invested in this series now. I'm invested in the serial that has become. And did this first part deliver? Now, I can say this. I don't know what's going to happen in Endgame. And
I do.
You do? What I do know is that this could change my opinion on Infinity War if Endgame doesn't deliver.
That's fair.
Because if you look at... I always bring up the second Matrix. That movie would have been a lot different if the third one was amazing. If the third movie was amazing and it tied in the events of 2 in a certain way, it just would have been a different and better movie. But they were all over the place. The point is, Avengers, as special as it is, it's a really special movie, and I think that it establishes the best villain in Thanos. Hands down. There were some amazing moments of things that you always wanted to see as a kid. It's a spectacle. It becomes that spectacle that you wanted. It is the big blockbuster popcorn film, but with a nice emotional arc that does something ballsy. We know what's going to happen down the line, and that's fine. But for the particular part, this chapter, it did it for me.
Yeah, and it made us both laugh louder than anybody else at the premiere with the Sweet Rabbit line.
I love Sweet Rabbit.
It's just so
good. It makes
funny.
me laugh. So that's number 3. Number 2. I'll go back to back here, and and bring on the fanboys who are going to say, "Oh, they just put in comic movies." Into the Spider-Verse goes into number 2.
Okay.
This movie, I didn't even want to see it.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to see it. I didn't just
why? Because it's animated.
I didn't want. Let me rephrase that. I didn't want to see it in the theater. I didn't have a need to see it in the theater. It's like, why? What are we just making another Spider-Man movie because Lord and Miller producing it? And I was like, why? I am so stupid. Because this movie was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it is funny. It is probably the most true to Spider-Man that we've ever had. I don't know if it's my favorite Spider-Man yet. I think Homecoming's still up there for me. But it is easily the most true to... It could have been a very confusing movie, and it wasn't. The stuff that they deal with it really well. Jake Johnson and God, please,
Shameik Moore.
Thank you, Shameik Moore from Dope, who plays Miles Morales. And Miles Morales has been talked about for so long for fans, and I'm so glad they did it this way. Because if you just throw him in there, it disservices the character. And boy, does he have a great debut. Everything in this movie, and you talk about comedic performances. You met Sweet Rabbit. Nicolas Cage trounces Sweet Rabbit because he is so good in this movie. And John Mulaney, who also plays Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to watch this movie once a day. I love this movie. I'm so happy that I saw it. I'm so glad my stupid self, who said I don't need to see this movie in the theaters, went and saw it because it's brilliant.
Sometimes you turn into, the metaphorical you, we all turn into a grouch if it comes to seeing a certain type of movie in a theater. For me, that can be animated movies too, where it's like I have expectations. I know it'll be competent, but I don't know if I'm going to respond to it. So glad to hear it's that high on your list. At number 5 for me is Green Book. I think it was your 4, my 5.
Pretty close.
Feel pretty much the same way. I loved watching the relationship of those two guys going back and forth, what they were up against, particularly what Mahershala Ali was up against, seeing Viggo Mortensen try to be the best version of himself.
Yeah.
I really liked the moments where it's him and Mahershala is helping him write love letters to Linda Cardellini. I think that was just one of the standouts.
Yeah.
Watching the actual
Sebastian.
The Sebastian was great.
Yeah.
The actual concert footage was neat to see just how talented this guy is.
Yes.
And it was the whole thing really, like when I saw it at TIFF, like you just walk out with a big smile on your face. And regardless of what people want to say about the movie, I think it's indisputable this movie is a feel-good crowd pleaser movie.
Easily.
In a year that maybe we haven't had the best movies, but there's been some real good crowd pleaser type movies in there, and Green Book certainly amongst those.
All right, hit me with 4.
Number 4, I will not hit you with it. I will just tell. Well, actually, I will hit you with 4.
What do you got?
Creed 2.
Creed 2.
Creed 2 is number 4 on my list.
Twice, right?
3 times now.
Oh wow!
I
Jeez, when are you doing? Go see movies you haven't seen.
I just,
What are you doing?
Well, sometimes I'm on the road and I don't have the screen or access.
Oh,
because
and you want to see this?
Yeah, I mean, this Mac I got, which I bought, I didn't even realize I was doing it. It doesn't even have the DVD drive anymore, so you can't put the screeners in there. So now I got to buy this ancillary thing at Best Buy when I'm staying at a hotel right across the street from a theater that's playing Creed 2.
Makes sense. So you want to
go see Creed 2.
It does feel like an event when you go to see Creed 2. Yeah.
God, it just gets better and better every time I see it.
Again.
The way that they set up the antagonistic side of the Dragos from that opening scene, and then the huge Creed 2, and you're like, holy fuck, we're in for something amazing. It's just so powerful. Did I want to love it the first time I saw it? Yes. Was I rooting for this movie? Of course I was. But to see it again and again, because you can very easily see something once and be like, all right, I saw it, I liked it, I don't want to think about this movie anymore. I will keep going back to Creed 2.
You like it better than the first one?
Keep feasting on it.
Wow,
I think Creed. I still think the first Creed is better made film slightly, but Creed 2 has so much greatness in it, and I love everything I see there.
All right, number 3.
At number 3 is A Star Is Born. Star is Born, just so powerful right from the get-go when you see the ability, the like hypnotic quality, the level of star that Bradley Cooper is when he's on stage playing guitar, and then that juxtaposed by Lady Gaga's character, who's giving it just as much as he gives it on a much smaller scale for the time. Watching them come together, I know it's the third or fourth telling of this. Right. I haven't seen the other ones. I saw this one, and the musical performances blew me away. Yeah. I think it was a directorial achievement for Bradley Cooper. Lady Gaga, worthy of all the praise she's getting. Sam Elliott's great in it too. I never even looked at that as like, oh, that's best supporting actor quality.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, and, I loved watching this movie,
and it's on tons of people's lists. People love this movie. I think I saw it too late. I didn't see it in the theater, and I liked the beginning a lot. Felt the middle of it really started to wear down for me.
Okay.
The end delivered just as strong, and I think Bradley Cooper should win director, and I think he should win best actor.
Yeah.
I thought Lady Gaga was good. Everyone's raving about her as if she's the best actress of the year.
Yeah.
I think she was good. I don't think she did anything more special than, say, Glenn Close or a lot of different other actresses that I saw this year.
Okay. Yeah, that was my 3, and I'll relieve some of the suspense right now. It's because I loved Bohemian Rhapsody, the musical performances in it, but I think you see A Star Is Born, you see how deep they get into the emotional core of the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think I'd trade the Bohemian Rhapsody concert scenes for anything.
Right.
Other than maybe seeing Creed 2 again.
What were you looking for? This movie did it
Bohemian
for
Rhapsody is in my honorable mention.
Got it.
My number 2 movie of the year is BlacKkKlansman. I thought this was the most dramatic, powerful,
I did it again this year.
Experience that you can have.
I did it again.
You did do it again? Okay, well, you got to shoehorn it in somewhere.
No, it would have BlacKkKlansman if I had to remove. Darn it! You know what? I looked through all the lists. And
Sorry, Overlord. It turns out.
Yeah, if I had to move one, I'd probably put BlacKkKlansman over at 10. But right now I'll have to make an honorable mention. But BlacKkKlansman probably would have hit.
It's an incredible true story. The fact that you could tell this story and make it just a comedic romp, or you could make it something that is so searing and serious. Spike Lee was able to do both in the same movie and have both of those things within the same scene sometimes.
Right.
Every time he attempted humor, every time he attempted to tug on your emotions or to get you to think about something that's going on in the world back then, the world today, he manages to do it successfully. This is maybe the best I've seen Spike Lee in a long, long time. Maybe since Malcolm X.
Oh, easily.
It's better than He Got Game. I mean, this is
one of his best. He's back on point for sure.
This movie deserves all the award consideration. I think it is getting John David Washington, Adam Driver. It's such a crazy story. And you see the trailer, and you're like, what angle are they going for with it? They're going for every angle, and they hit all of them.
I agree. All right, so why don't you hit your number 1 because I went first on the other 2. I thought you were either going to put Avengers: Infinity War because that was your
Infinity War
was your number 3, right?
It was not on my honorable mention.
Oh, wow.
That was one of the ones that I didn't say in my honorable mention because I didn't want to give away the ruse.
I would have guessed that, but I was going to guess Star Is Born was your number 1. So
no, I did love that movie, man.
Yeah.
And it was
Simon number 1?
Such a cool experience getting to go to Toronto. Yeah. I know you've been to a bunch of film festivals yourself, and it's like it's just so cool to be able to see movie, and they're all so good, you know.
So I guess Love, Simon was your number 1.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
is your number 1.
It's my number 1.
Wow,
movie. Yeah.
And I could see it. I'm not going to argue. Look,
smile on my face. As soon as the movie started, this is what you get in a movie where in the year 2018, we're so excited about everything going on in the MCU, and it's like, oh, then that sets that up in the MCU post-credit scene. What a breath of fresh air it is to see Miles Morales, finally, I agree with you, get the proper big screen treatment in his debut. And to see a movie that takes all of the, we hold this as canon, but this is something else. To see a movie that just says, we're just going to have fun.
Right.
And we're just going to make a movie. You want to throw Spider-Ham in there? Get it. You want to throw Spider-Man Noir in there?
Spider-Ham made me so nervous.
Spider-Gwen, now deserving of her own franchise.
Haley Steinfeld again.
There you go.
Yep.
This movie, it's the most fun that you can have. Now, there's been times in movie theaters this year where I may have been a little more emotionally grabbed, but those are only by a Creed 2.
Yeah.
Or maybe a moment at Live Aid. Or A Star Is Born or something like that. Start to finish, this movie just made me so happy. I was laughing. I was engaged in the story, watching Miles interact with his various family members. It's powerful. It's funny. It's moving. It's a movie. If you are sometimes like I am and you're a curmudgeon about animated movies or, it's more for kids, this movie is for everyone. I promise you. You don't believe me? Go see it, and I'll give you your money back. I'm not going to give you your money back, but go see it. You're not going to be disappointed. I promise.
I'm
best Spider-Man movie of all time.
It's up there. It was my number 2. Your number 1, and it deserves.
Okay, so now I have to guess your number 1.
You know my number 1.
Oh, I see a little silhouette of a man. Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody is easily my number 1 movie of the year. I just watched it again. I love it. And like I said in my review, and anytime I've talked about it, I understand the criticisms. I get it. People wanted a real deep dive, very similar to what you just said, what Star is Born did for you. Some people were looking for that for Freddie Mercury's story. That's not what I was looking for. A lot of people were, and I get it. If you didn't get that, you could be disappointed. I wasn't looking for that. What I was looking for was a good, fun concert film. I got that. I got that times 100. Queen's one of my favorite bands of all time. It's one of my favorite bands of all time. And the way that they brought him to life, Rami Malek, I really think he should be. I mean, I understand Bradley Cooper. Rami Malek did something very tough to do. He came in as a replacement for Sacha Baron Cohen and just embodied who Freddie Mercury was. There were some really good performances all the way around the board. Is it a little bit behind the music? Sure. Did I need that in my life at the time that I saw it? Yes, I did.
It's a good point you make, too, because it's not like Rami Malek just stepped in and everybody was like, oh, of course he should be Freddie Mercury. Everybody, including you and me, was like, oh, it's kind of a bummer we don't have Sacha Baron Cohen doing this. How's this movie going to be?
Rami Malek, is he going to be able to do it?
And for the for what this, look, I think that there are a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that you could take away from this movie. Be like, well, they didn't cover that. They didn't. I think that they did cover a lot here. And I think surface level is a word that I think is a little too demeaning to the film. Didn't get as deep as some other people would have liked, but I think that it did hint at other things going on. And there are some, moments in there where I just feel like, okay, none of this crap ever happened. That's not how they wrote. But again, I wasn't there either, so I don't know.
I can tell you, first of all, and we've talked about this, Braveheart's one of my favorite movies of all time. Most inaccurate historical movie of all time.
History professors don't love it.
This movie is pretty inaccurate for a lot of stuff. They're not inaccurate in the sense that these things didn't happen, but the way that they happened didn't.
But you watch them on stage, and it's unreal.
It worked. No, and on the stage stuff, the way they came up with songs and things, they made it. The band had a lot to do with it, right? They had a lot of influence to it. And another reason why they did is because people don't realize this. They were protecting their friend. Not that he did anything wrong at all. They just wanted to portray him in this particular way. They told a lot of his story, but this is the way they wanted to portray him, and I loved the way they do. I thought it showed respect to him. I think you understood him. I think that you also got the performances, because when you watch the Live Aid concert at the end of the movie and then you compare it with the actual concert, I mean, it is uncanny.
That Live Aid scene was something pretty special. I really that scene. Like, that's one of the things that I will remember for a long time about the movie year that was 2018 was that scene at Live Aid. I mean, it's that, obviously Creed 2, what Black Panther was, A Star is Born. There's certain movies. Nothing I will probably take away as more as I will with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is why it's my number 1. Same thing with you for the Queen movie. And
just be careful. I'm warning you. If you see, if you see Vox Lux, that's a scene up top that you might not want to take with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good review of the movie.
Yeah,
from what I've heard. But
you got to be careful. But listen, this is it. This is the end of the year, 2018. We did it. I'm going to try to do worse. I'll see if I can do it. You wuss. So let's see. What do you guys think?
1517, Mile 22.
Yeah.
You know my number 1 of the year would be.
What?
Come on.
What is it? I don't remember.
This is my worst.
What your worst? I don't remember.
What came out right before Creed 2 that I did not want to talk about at all?
Harry Potter, the
Fantastic Beasts.
That's your number 1? Wow. All right.
Name a theater experience that I was more confused in.
You were hurt before you even walked in.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that's something I'm going to try to do soon, and then we'll do our most anticipated as well.
Creed 2.
You guys, thank you guys for watching. Put your list in there. What are the top 10 that you saw? And I'm sure Blind Spotting will be there for a lot of people. There's a ton of movies out there that, like we said, we loved in our honorable mention. Yeah. So now you guys share your list.
Merry Christmas.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
To you.
It's not on my list.
All right. See you later.
Over there you can watch.
Whatever.
No, we're doing it. Over there you can see other stuff. And God bless us, everyone. What's a better Christmas movie, Die Hard or Die Hard 2?
Die Hard 2 is not a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
First one is. Oh, you know what? I take it back. It is.